वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपार करुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणम् श्रीचन्द्रशेखर गुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण पुमान् पूर्णः प्रजायते तं वन्दे ब्रह्मविद्धुर्यं सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणम् तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तमा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
जन्तूनां नरजन्म दुर्लभमतः पुंस्त्वं ततो विप्रता
नरजन्मदुर्लभमतः पुंस्त्वं ततो विप्रता
तस्माद्वैदिकधर्ममार्गपरता विद्वत्त्वमस्मात् परम्।
तस्माद्वैदिकधर्ममार्गपरता परम्।
आत्मानात्मविवेचनं स्वनुभवो ब्रह्मात्मना संस्थितिः
आत्माविवेचनं स्वनुभवो ब्रह्मणा संस्थितिः
मुक्तिर्नो शतजन्मकोटिसुकृतैः पुण्यैर्विना लभ्यते
मुप्पुरुषोषशतजन्मकोटिशतकोटिजन्मकोटिसुकृतैर्विना लभ्यते.
We are at the end of this, end of the commentary of this shloka. We have seen the meaning of the shloka every class, so we don't have to repeat it. So starting from Manushya Janma Prashamsa, Tataha Pumstvam Durlabham, Tataha Viprata Durlabha, Tasmat Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata, Itukte Vaidika Dharma Anushtanam Durlabham, Tasmat Vidvattam Durlabham, Tataha Atmanatma Vivechanam, Atmanatma Vivechanam Durlabham, Svanubhavaha, Svanubhavaha Durlabhaha, Svanubhavaha ityukte Nididhyasanam Aporoksha Jnanam. Aporoksha Jnanam is gained by Nididhyasanam. Sadhanam is Nididhyasanam. Tataha Brahmatmana Samstitihi. Another word for Jivan Muktihi. This Brahmatmana Samstitihi. Brahma eva Atma Brahmatma. Samyak Stitihi. Brahmatma Rupena Avasthanam Brahmatmana Stitihi. Nishta. Ityukte Nishta. Brahma Nishta. Abiding in that knowledge. In the language of Gita, the one who abides in this knowledge is called Sita Prajnaha. So Brahmi Stitihi. Sita Prajna. Jivan Muktihi Ityartaha. That Jivan Mukti alone, Acharya here, the commentator Acharya. Who is the commentator? Chandrasekhara Bharati Tirtha Maha Swaminaha Vyakhyanam Vayam Adimahe. At the end of the Vyakhyanam, he talks about that. An important point. That is the Jivan Muktihi, Dharmatmana Samstitihi. He says, which we saw in the last class, Svanubhavaha is Anubhava Paroksha Jnanam, Svanubhutihi, Aparokshanubhutihi. That is Brahma Sakshat Nididhyasana Purvaka Brahma Sakshat Karaha. Aparoksha Jnanam, that is by Nididhyasanam. That is Katitaha, after Shavanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Then, Etena, the third line, Shubhecha Vicharana Tanumanasa Sattvapatischaiti Jnana Bhumika Chatushtayam Katitam Asit. Up to that, the four, up to Svanubhavaha, starting from Manusya Janma Prashamsa, up to this, or not Manusya Janma Prashamsa, we can take from Atmanat Vidvattam. Vidvattam, starting from Vidvattam. Vidvattam corresponds to Vedanta Shastra Shravanam. We saw. Vidvattam, Viprata, and Vidvattam, there is a difference. Viprata is Atato Dharma Jignasa. Vidvattam is Atato Dharma Jignasa. For Viprata, the Adhikari is the one who studies Shastram and follows the Shastram. He has got Shastra Jnanam, Dharma Shastra Jnanam, Veda Purva Jnanam, or Veda Jnanam in general. That is Viprata. Vidvattam is, or Viprata we can say, the person is indeed the third ashrama or grasta ashrama. He has not yet shifted to the antima ashrama, sannyasa ashrama. That is characterized by Vividisha sannyasa, that is Vidvattam. So Vidvattam is Vividisha sannyasa. So Vidvattam, therefore Vidvattam corresponds to Shravanam, Atmanatma Vivechanam corresponds to Mananam, and Svanubhavaha corresponds to Nididhyasanam. And after that, Nishta, Atmanishta, Brahmanishta, Brahmatmana Samstihi, that is Jivan Mukti. So Vidvattam, Atmanatma Vivechanam, Svanubhavaha, and Brahmatmana Samstihi. These four stages are covered by Jnana Bhumika Chatushtayam. Among these Sapta Jnana Bhumika, which we discussed the last class, we don't need to repeat again. That is Sapta, 7 stages of spiritual unfoldment, spiritual journey. Sapta Jnana Bhumika. So 7 stages are there. Among the 7 stages, the first 4 stages are covered by these 4. Vidvattam, Atmanatma Vivechanam, Svanubhavaha, and Brahmatmana Samtihi, Brahmatmana Samstitihi, which are the 4 stages. They correspond to Shubha Icha, Shubhecha, Vicharana, Tanumanasa, and Sattvapattihi. Each is defined by a shloka which we saw. Shubha Icha, Icha desire, desire which is auspicious desire. Auspicious desire which is auspicious, that is the person having realized the uncertainty of life, preceded by Vairagya, he takes a resolve to know the truth. That is called Shubhagicha. Stitikim Mudayavasmi Prekshyoham Shastra Sajjanaihi Vairagya Purmicheti Shubhecha Ityuchate Budaihi. We discussed all this in the last class, the meaning of these shlokas. The footnote in this book, it is given. Each word is defined. All these are discussed in Lagu Yoga Vasishta in detail. So Shubha Icha corresponds to Vidvatvam. Vidvatvam meaning Shravanam. The person makes a resolve to commit himself to Jnanam. That is preceded by, of course, by Jnanam. To come to Jnanam, the person must have Adhigaritva. Who is an Adhigari? Adhigari, we say in Tattvabodha and other texts, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampannaha Adhikari. Simple way of defining. The one who is endowed with 4-fold qualifications is an Adhikari. Adhigaritvam, the status of being an Adhikari, the right candidate. 4-fold qualification starting from Viveka, then Vairagya, then Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, finally Mumukshutvam. The person must have this 4. It's called Adhikari. But in Vedanta Sara, if you see the definition, it's a long definition. Adhikari tu Vidhivat, Adhita Veda Vedangatvena, Apatataha, Adhigata Akila Vedartaha, Asmin Janmani, Puru Janmani Va, Kamya Varjana Purasaram, Nitya Naimittika Prayashchitta Upasananushtanena, Nirgata Nikila Kalmashataya, Nitanta Nirmala Swantaha, Sadhara Chatushtaya Sampannaha, Samata. The long definition is Nadigari. Of course, he is Sadhara Chatushtaya Sampannaha. He is the one who has general understanding of the Veda, and because of some Asmin Janmani Va, Pur Janmani Va, he has gained some punyam, and he has refrained himself from pursuing Kamya Karma and Nishiddha Karma, completely avoiding and following Nitya Naimittika Adi Karma, Nitya Karma, Naimitya Karma, Nitya Karma, Sandhya Vandana Adi Karma. Naimittika karma is the karma which are done occasionally, like Shraddhadi karma. Of course, then Prayaschitta karma for any karma which is for karma which we do for any mistakes, anything which we wrong things which we have done unknowingly. Prayaschitta, then Upasana. By that, karmana chitta shuddhi, having gained chitta shuddhi. Then also upasanaya chitta naischalya, having gained that. Then nitanta nirmala swantaha, yes, the one who has gained antakarna shuddhi, the mind is relatively free from raga dvesha. Therefore, that person who is endowed with sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold qualification, viveka vairagyadi, and he is a pramata, he is a knower, he wants to know the truth, that person is adhikari. That person alone can venture into Vedanta. The person makes a resolve that I want to know the truth. He comes to Vedanta. Therefore, Shubha Icha is preceded by Karma Yoga and Upasana. Karma Yoga is Ishvararpana Buddhihi, Prasada Buddhihi. Ishvararpana Buddhya Karma Kartavyam. And whatever the results come, the results are given by the Lord because karma is Jadam. Karma cannot give result by itself. There must be a karma pala data. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. Ma karma pala heturbuhu. Ma te sangostva karmani. You cannot dictate the result of action. Results of action depends on so many factors over which you don't have any control. You have got choice only in performing the karma. The results are given by the Lord. So therefore, Ishvararpana Buddhi. Buddhya karma kartavyam. That is karma yoga. Doing karma, doing action with the attitude of Ishvara, offering to the Lord. It's an offering to the Lord. It's a puja. That is where work is worship. That is karma yoga. And whatever the result comes, that accepting that gracefully, no complaints. The karma yoga therefore indicates a person, karma yogi, he has relatively freed himself from raga and dvesha. No raga, no dvesha. Therefore, the mind is free for studying Shastram, Vedanta Shastram, Vedanta Shravanam. Of course, Upasana also, because there should be focus on the topic for a length of time. So therefore, Upasana. Therefore, Shubha Icha corresponds to that. Vicharana, there starts the Jnana Yoga. How one cannot study Shastra by oneself. Shastrajñopi Brahmanveshanam Swatantrena na kuryat. Even if the person is Shastrajñaha, you should not venture into the study of Shastram by oneself. Shankara Bhagavad-pada in the Mundaka Bhashyam says, therefore, the person must approach the teacher, tadviddi pranipatena pariprashtena sevaya, upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha, as said in the Gita. The person must approach the teacher. There's a protocol. How to approach. Savitvanihi Shotriyam Brahmanishtam. With Samit in his hand, the person must approach the teacher and ask for the knowledge. That Shastra gives guidance how to ask for this knowledge. Like in Mundaka Upanishad, the Shaunaka, the disciple, as a teacher, Angiras, Kasminna Bhagava Vijñate, Sarvamidam Vijñatam Bhavati. It's a beautiful way of asking for the knowledge of the truth. Similarly, Nachiketa, Astityeke, Nayam Astiti Cheke. Some people say Atma survives after death. Some people say do not. Etad Vidya Anushishtatvayaham Varanam Esha Varastritiyaha. That is another way of asking, nicely presenting the question, asking for knowledge. So therefore, Guru Seva and Guru Shushrusha. Shushrusha is Shrotam Icha, the desire to listen to the words of the Shastram as taught by the teacher. That is called Shushrusha. And of course, Shushrusha also has a meaning of Seva. So Guru Seva, and therefore Guru Shushrusha. Therefore Shushrusha. So there the Jnana Yogam starts at Vicharana. Therefore, the second stage of spiritual journey starts with, in this stage, the person becomes a Jignasu. From Mumukshu, a conversion happens in the person, he becomes a Jignasu. Mumukshu means the one who has desire to know the truth. Mumukshu, Mumuksha, desire to know the truth, Mumuksha, one who has the desire, Mumukshu. And freedom is only by knowledge that it comes to firm understanding. After having gone to many ashramas, finally realized not by any methods moksha is gained, only by knowledge. Therefore, he has to come to the Shastram alone. He has to come to Vedanta. He has to come approach the teacher. So therefore, that is made very clear. Therefore, Shravanam, that is, you go approaching the teacher, asking for knowledge, and teacher teaches. That corresponds to the first stage. That is of Jnana Yoga, Shravanam, followed by Mananam. Mananam is reflecting on the teaching of the Shastram. By Shravanam, Ajnana Nivritti happens. The cause of samsara is Ajnanam, Avidya. Avidya Nivrittihi Shravanena. Then, after having listened to, there are some lingering doubts. Doubts with regard to Shastram, doubt with regards to the Prameya, Pramanam as well as Prameya. All these will go by the next stage, which is Mananam. Therefore, Manana, Samshaya Nivrittihi, for that Mananam. So therefore, Vicharana corresponds to the second stage, Vicharana. Shubha Icha, followed by Vicharana. Vicharana is defined, the Shloka. Shastra Sajjana Samparka Vairagyabhyasa Purvakam Sadachara Pravrittihi Ya Prochyate Sa Vicharana, which we saw in the last class, the meaning of this Shloka. That is called Vicharana. Vichara, inquiry, Vicharana, Strilinga Shabda, Vicharana, Sa Vicharana Prochyate, Prakarshana Uchyate. That is called Vicharana. What? Sat Vichara Pravrittihi. Sat is Brahma, Atma. Atma Vichara Pravrittihi. Inquiry into the truth. How do you inquiry into the truth? Only by Shastra and Sajjana. Samparka. Samparka is Samsarga, Sambandha, association. Only by association with Shastram and Sajjana, good people, Sajjana. Of course, Vairagya Abhyasa Purvakam, preceded by Vairagyasya Abhyasa, Vairagya Abhyasa. The person must have Vairagya. Vishayeshu Viragaha Vairagya. Vishayeshu Viragaha. Withdrawing oneself from Vishaya. Not out of hatred, out of understanding. That is called Vairagyam. So therefore, there is Shastra Pravrittihi, that is Vicharana. Then the third stage in the journey is Tanu Manasa. Tanu Manasa, Tanu, the mind becomes very thin. How it is thin? It is, the mind becomes Sukshma. The mind becomes Sukshma Buddhi. The mind becomes very alert, Tanu Manasa. Attenuation of the mind, Tanu Manasa. Vicharana Shubhechabhyam Indriyateshu Raktata. Asaktata also reading is there. Indriyateshu Asaktata. Yatra sa tanum tanutam yeti prochyate tanu manasa. That is the mind no more get distracted. It is absorbed in the truth. this stage, third stage, is characterized by Nididhyasanam and Savikalpa Samadhi, which we saw. The third stage is Tanumanasi, characterized by Nididhyasanam. And here in the Shloka, Nididhyasanam, Swanubhavaha, and Samadhi. Samadhi is not given, so we have to include Samadhi, Tanumanasa, Nididhyasanam, and Savikalpa Samadhi. And next stage is Sattvapattihi, that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Samadhi means absorption. Nishta ityartaha, jnana nishta, that is called Samadhi. Samadhi of two types. Savikalpa, Nirvikalpa. Vikalpa, there are divisions. Nirvikalpa, no divisions. In the meditation, if there is division of the meditator, meditated, and meditation, then the samadhi is Savikalpa Samadhi. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all this Triputi Veda, the threefold differences, Dhyata, Dhyanam, Dhyeya, Jnata, Jnanam, Jneya, they are resolved. Or you can say Bhaktaha, Bhagavan, and Bhakti, they get resolved. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In the words of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, it says, a salt doll went down the river, went down the ocean to measure the depth of the ocean. When it comes back, can it tell the depth of the ocean? The salt doll, it dissolves in the water. Where is that? So, in fact, this is the Drishtanta given by Vedanta Sara also. Salt dissolved in water. So, what happens is the water alone is there. Similarly, the mind in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi assumes the form of Brahma, Advaita Brahma. Therefore, there is no individuality. Only Brahma alone remains. Only Atma alone remains. So, in that, there is no one in that avastha, there is no one to describe the state of Samadhi. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is Sattvapattihi, the fourth stage. So, with that, it is over. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the fourth level, corresponds to Brahmatmana Samstitihi, that is Jnana Nishta Jivan Muktihi. The person becomes free. Jivan Muktihi, Jivaneva Muktaha. Muktihi is liberated while living. He has achieved the purpose of life. Kritakrityaha. Then after Maranam, he becomes free, that is Videha Mukti. While living is free, then what to talk about after Maranam? While living itself is completely free from bondage, bandha nivritti. The shariram cannot bind him because it doesn't have abhimana with the shariram. Jnanam means aham akarta abhokta aham brahma asmi iti, that is jnanam. The jnanam, Jivan Mukti is characterized by that jnanam. Therefore, after the fall of the shariram, the person continues to be a mukta. There is no punarjanma. So that is what mukti, Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. In fact, there are no two muktis. Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, we say from the standpoint of the people. It is only from the standpoint of the people. There are no two muktis. Mukti being mukti. Freedom is freedom. Whether the body survives or not. Thank God the body survives after jnanam for the jnani. Because body survives, because prarabdha is a body survives, therefore jnani survives, therefore jnani is available for teaching. Otherwise, what will happen? If immediately after jnanam, the mukti, the liberation happens, the body also, suppose if it dissolves, the moment jnanam happens, the jnani vanishes. Then the person will not be there to teach. Sampradaya will not be there. Thank God it doesn't happen. The jnani continues to survive because prarabdha is there. As long as prarabdha is there, the sharira will continue. Therefore, jnani survives, and therefore that jnani, till the prarabdha exhausts, that is till maranam, he survives. How does he lead his life? That jnanam being same, but the type of life, that is different. That is not same for all the jnanis. Some jnanis just absorbs himself in samadhi. Some jnanis, they do lokasangraha karma, does some action for the welfare of the world. The jnanis like Shankaracharya travels all around, debate with all the opposite mathas and defeat them and establish Advaita Vedanta. Some jnanis, they teach. So therefore, that depends on their karma prarabdha. Ramana Maharishi, after jnanam, he didn't do anything, just he was being with himself. He was completely absorbed in himself. He did not even interested in teaching because people came. Therefore, he answered. In fact, he didn't teach. He answered their questions. So this is this. Therefore, the jnani, the behavior of jnani, or the lifestyle of the jnani, the way the jnani lives, there need not be any uniformity. It depends. So that forms the next three stages. That form the next three stages. Having gained nirvikalpa samadhi, nishta, jnana nishta, then the next stage onwards, the next three stages, which are called technically asamsaktihi, padartha bhavana or padartha bhavini, turyaha, atava turya. The next three stages. Up to sattvapatihi, itself job is done, the person becomes free because of jnanam, jnananishta, person becomes free, muktaha bhavati. Now, asamsaktihi padartha bhavana anturyaha corresponds to the jnana avastha. In terms of jnanam, there is no difference. But in terms of jnana avastha, there are differences that is pointed out here. So asamsaktihi. What is asamsaktihi? That is the fifth stage. It is defined here. What is asamsaktihi? From there we have to see today. Point number, this one shloka it is given. Jaya dasha chatushta vyat asamsarga palatu ya ruda sattva chamatkara prokta samsakti namika. Prokta asamsakti namika. The fifth stage, asamsakti. That stage is gained by repeated practice of nirvikalpa samadhi. Repeated practice of nirvikalpa samadhi. There, ruda sattva chamatkara prokta asamsakti namika. That avastha dasha chatushtayabhyasat asamsarga palatuya. Samsakti means desire, priya, affection. Asamsakti means denying. So by the practice of nirvikalpa samadhi abhyasat, by the practice of nirvikalpa samadhi, the abhimana with the sharira mana sangata, with sharira mana buddhi and ahankara, mamakara ahankara, with respect to things which are connected to sharira mana sangata, that is referred to, that is not there. That is referred to by the word asamsarga pala. There is no samsarga, asamsarga pala, the result of non-identity. Asamsarga pala. there is no abhimana with the sharira manasangata, other upadhis. So therefore, the person who is jivan muktaha is established in this samadhi avastha, nirvikalpa samadhi avastha. He goes beyond raga dvesha and becomes completely free from the icha. Dasha chatushtaya abhyasat. Chatushtaya means with the four things what has gone before. Abhyasat, after that comes in nirvikal asamsarga pala by this state, this avastha is gained by the practice of the previous four stages. Dasha chatushtaya abhyasa. Chatushtaya means chatushtaya referring to the Shubha Icha, Vicharana, Tanumanasa, Sattvapattihi. That four stages, chatushtaya. Chatushtaya abhyasat, this asamsarga pala, the result of that is asamsarga pala. There, the person, ruda sattva chamatkara. Chamatkara is that which is shining, splendid. That is ruda sattva chamatkara. There is awareness of this effulgence, this reality. Chamatkara means that which shines. What shines? That is chamatkara, that which shines is the truth. That avastha is called asamsaktihi, the state of desirelessness. So Jivan Muktaha has reached this avastha, this stage. That Jivan Muktaha is called Brahmavidvara. He is established in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The person establishes in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Of course, he wakes up from the Samadhi of his own wish, on his own accord, he wakes up from the Samadhi. Nobody needs to wake him up. He himself wakes up from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is the fourth stage. That person is called Brahmavidvara. That is the fifth stage, the fifth stage. The fourth stage is Brahmavid, the person having gained Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Sattvapattihi, that is Brahmavid, Brahmajanati iti Brahmavid. That is the fourth stage. The next stage is Asamsaktihi, which is Brahmavidvara. So then the next, so Brahmavid, Brahmajanati, Brahmavid, Brahmagyani. Therefore only Jivan Mukti. Dasha means stage, avastha. Okay. Dasha means avastha. Chatushtaya abhyasa, dasha is referring to the stages, the previous four stages. Chatushtaya dasha. Okay. So by Sattvapattihi, the person, Sattvapattihi is the fourth stage. The person knows Brahmavid. The next stage is Brahmavidvara, which is characterized by Asamsaktihi. Brahmavidvara. The person gained the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi in the fourth avastha, which is Sattvapattihi. The fifth stage, the person absorbs Nirvikalpa Samadhi and himself wakes up. Nobody needs to wake him up. That avastha. That Asamsakti is characterized by that avastha, and the person is called Brahmavidvara. The Brahmavidvara, Brahmavidvariyan, Brahmavidvarishta. Four names are there referring to the one who is a jnani, who is Jivan Muktaha. Four names are there. The first four stages, Shubha, Icha, Vicharana, Tanumanasa, Sattvapattihi. After gaining Sattvapattihi, that is, the person gained Jnananishta, that is Jivan Muktihi, that person is called Brahmavid. Brahma Janati. Aham Brahmasmi iti Janati. He knows Aham Brahma iti. Jagat Karanam Brahma Aham iti Janati. That is Brahmavid. The fifth stage is asamsaktihi. There the person absorbs in Nivikalpa Samadhi and he himself wakes up. Fourth stage is having attained Nivikalpa Samadhi, the person becomes free. Don't think Nivikalpa Samadhi is a must. We don't say that. Samadhi is nothing but absorption, nishta in jnanam. That is mukti. That is sattvapattihi. Asamsaktihi referring to that he is absorbed in the dhyana avastha and he wakes up on his own accord. That is asamsaktihi. The jnani who enjoys this avastha is called Brahmavit Vara. Vara pratyaya we use. Vara means greater, superior. When we say he is superior, not in terms of jnanam, in terms of this avastha only it is. Please note there is no difference in degrees of knowledge by these four people. Brahmavit, Brahmavit Vara, Brahmavit Variyan, and Brahmavit Varishtaha. The four names are given to the jnanis who enjoys different stages or different jnana avastha. In terms of jnana avastha only there is difference. In terms of jnanam there is no difference. So because the pratyaya, vara pratyaya, variyan, varishta, ishtan pratyaya, superior, greater, those pratyaya corresponding to that meanings are added. Don't think there are differences. In terms of jnanam, there is no difference. So please note this is important. So in terms of jnana avastha only we say there is difference. So Brahmavit, Sattvapattihi, that avastha, fourth avastha, corresponds to the avastha of Brahmavit, the one who knows Brahma is Muktaha. Then Asamsaktihi, Brahmavit Varaha, Padartha Bhavana, Padartha Bhavana, or Padartha Bhavini. There the person, he is absorbed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and he wakes up from Samadhi only when the people around wakes him up. Somebody has to wake him up. Then only he wakes up from Samadhi, from the absorption. That is called Padartha Bhavana. That is defined here. Footnote you see, 6. Bhumika Panchakabhyasat Swatma Ramataya Vrisham Abhyantaranam Bhakyanam Padarthanam Abhavanat Paraprayuktena Chiram Paryatrena Vabodhanam Padartha Bhavani or Bhavana Nama Shashti Bhavati Bhumika. So Bhumika Pancha Abhyasat, by the practice of the Pancha Bhumika, the first 5 stages. And there is Abhyantara Bhagya Padarthanam Abhavanat. There is no object outside or inside for him. That is, he is not distracted by anything. He is completely Swatma Ramataya Brisham, completely absorbed in himself. And Paraprayuktena, only when it is when the person is woken up by others. Paraprayuktena chiram pratyenava bodhanam. He wakes up only when Paraprayukta. That avastha is called, that bhumika, that avastha is called Padartha Bhavani. So in the 5th stage, Asamsaktihi, there the person wakes up of his own accord. Whereas in Padartha Bhavana, Padartha Abhavana. Padartha Abhavana. He wakes up from Samadhi Paraprayuktena when he is woken up by the effort of the other people. Because there is complete dissolution of the mind, there is no perception of external objects or internal thoughts. Bhagya, Antara, there is nothing, no Bhagya, Anubhava not there, external sense experience not there, and there is no thoughts, internal thoughts or experience. Therefore, he is completely absorbed in himself. This Jivan Mukta is called Brahmavit Variyan. This Brahmavit Varyan is in terms of Jnana Avastha greater than Asamsakti, Brahmavit Vara. Brahmavid Variyan. The next stage, that is the final stage, is Turyaga. That is the seventh stage. So Asamtaktihi Padartha Bhavana Turyaga. Brahmavid, starting from Brahmavid Varaha, Brahmavid Variyan, then Turyaga is Brahmavid Varishta, Ishtan Pratyaya, highest stage, where the person absorbed in this samadhi, Nivikalpa Samadhi, Nishta, the person completely absorbed in samadhi and it doesn't wake up from that samadhi at all. In spite of the persistence of others, the person doesn't wake up at all. It's called Brahma with Varishtaha. And it is defined, that avastha. Brahma with Varishtaha, Shat Bhumika. Shat Bhumika Charabhyasat, Vedasya Anupalambhanat. Yat Svabhavaika Nishtatvam Sagneyat Turyaga Gatihi. So by the Shat Bhumika Charabhyasat, by following the first 6 stages, that the person Vedasya Anupalambana, there is no Anubhava experience of Veda, differences, no plurality, no subject-object division. Yat Swabhavaika Nishtatvam is completely absorbed in himself. That avastha is called Turyaga. Turyaga, Ga, attaining the stage, fourth stage. Turiya means fourth. Fourth stage is what is the fourth stage? We have Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. What is the Turiya Avastha? In Mandukya, it is said the Turiya Avastha is a fourth Avastha. In fact, it is not the fourth. It is the Avastha. It is the awareness of I am Atma. That is, in and through all the Avastha, that Atma is there. That is Turiya. So one who has reached this is Brahmavit Varishtaha, best among Brahmavit. Even though we say best and all, as I told, that in terms of Jnanam, there is no difference at all. In terms of Jnanam, there is no difference. In terms of Jnana Avastha, there is difference. And also another important thing is Samadhi is not a prerequisite for knowledge. Samadhi helps one to gain, establish in the knowledge. Not that Samadhi gives knowledge. No Samadhi will give knowledge. Only Shastra Shravanam alone gives knowledge. The knowledge that Jiva Brahma Aikam Aham Brahma Asmi, through the Upadesha of the teacher, Mahavakya Upadesha, only knowledge is gained, Jnanam is gained, Mukti is gained. Samadhi is to gain Nishta in Jnanam. That is Samadhi. So these are the 7 stages, Sapta Bhumika. So Acharya here, he just mentions the name, the 7 stages, but all these are elaborately discussed in other texts. Even Jivan Mukti Viveka, there also it is discussed. In Lagu Yoga Vasishta, it is discussed. All these quotations which are given the footnote from Lagu Yoga Vasishta. There the Vasishta gives Upadesha to Rama. So we have to note here important things. Sattvapattihi itself, that is the stage itself, the person becomes free, liberated. There is no difference in terms of jnanam among these 4 avasthas. Sattvapattihi, asamsaktihi, padartha bhavana, and turiyaha. Sattvapattihi, the person becomes Brahmavit. In asamsaktihi, Brahmavit variyan. Then padartha bhavana. In padartha, Brahmavit, Brahma janati Brahmavit. That is Sattvapattihi. The next stage, the person becomes Brahmavit Vara. That is Asamsaktihi. Brahmavit Variyan, Padartha Bhavana. Brahmavit Varishtaha. That is Turyaha. So, gaining Nishta through Nirvikalpa Samadhi with or without Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that corresponds to Sattapattihi. And establishing Nishta, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the person wakes up on his own wish, that corresponds to Asamsaktihi. When the person wakes up only when woken up by the people around, that is Padartha Bhavana. When the person doesn't wake up at all, that is Turyagha, is absorbed in Samadhi completely. He doesn't wake up at all. He doesn't come back. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says the person who establishes in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, his body will fall in 21 days. I don't know from which Shastra he says, but it is his statement. So these are the different jnana avastha. So therefore, asamsaktihi padartha bhavana turyagha cha brahmatmana samstitihi muktihi. Brahmatmana samstitihi brahmanishta. Brahmatmana samstitihi atmanishta satat prajna. That is muktihi means jivan muktihi. Brahmatmana samstitihi muktihi. Iti atra samstiti shabdena. By this, by the word samstiti shabdena, vasana kshaya manonasha sahakrita svanubhava bodhakena vyanjitaha. By the word samstiti shabda, vasana kshaya, all the vasanas, vasana kshaya, manonasha. Manonasha is not mind is destroyed. Manonasha, the mind which was, see, mind is an instrument. So there is no manonasha. That is, there is control over the mind. Or the mind is mithya. That is manonasha. Understanding that mind is mithya, that is manonasha. We give reality to the mind, therefore to the thoughts, and get disturbed. But once you know mind is also mithya, that is manonasha. Understanding that is also upadhi being mithya. So vasana kshayam by manonasha sahakrita, along with that svanubhava bodhakena vinjitaha. By the word samsiti meaning mukti, what is implied is atmanatma svanubhavaha. That is aproksha jnanam, brahmatmana samstitihi. Aproksha jnanena brahmatma samstitihi, that is jivan muktihi, is vinjitaha, it is uktaha. Tena, by that. So now jivan muktihi. Now tena, by that, salokya samipya sarupya sayujyanam mukya muktitva abhavascha suchitaha bhavati. By that, jivan muktihi, the word is there. Muktihi, what does it indicate? Muktihi, the word, it says muktihi is it salokya? There are salokya, samipya, sarupya, sayujya iti, 4 types of mukti. Salokya is lokya, loka. Loka means living the same loka where the Lord is. That is salokya. Samipya, being close to the Lord. Sarupya, taking the form of the Lord, having the same rupa of the Lord. Sayujya is absorption into the form of the Lord. All this muktitva abhavascha suchita bhavati. By the word muktihi and samsitaha, by the word, what is indicated is not these 4 types of mukti. Mukya muktitva abhavaha. These are the secondary muktis. These are not the primary muktis. Sayujya, salokya, all these are these Dvaitins, they say this mukti. But these are not primary mukti. Because in all these mukti, there is a Beda Anubhava. Bhagavan Bhakta iti, the difference is there. Therefore, these cannot be the Mukhya Mukti. These are all secondary Mukti. These are Avantaram, secondary Mukti. Why secondary Mukti? Saguna Vishayakataya Tesham Chaturnam api Mithyatva. Because Saguna Vishayatva, it is not Nirguna, it is Saguna. Therefore, these are secondary Muktis, not primary Mukti. What is mukti? Mukti is that where the person is free from the sense of being individual. The sense of individuality is completely gone. That is mukti. Aham Ishvarat abhinnaha. That is what is mukti is. Not living with the Lord, closer to the Lord, doing seva to the Lord, because that all implies duality, dvaitam. As long as dvaitam is there, how can there be mukti? Mukti we can say only when there is advaitam. Therefore, all these are secondary muktis only. That's why here author uses the word mitya, mityatvat. Saguna vishekataya, tesham chaturnam. Tesham chaturnam, all these four, salokya, samipya, sarupya, sayujyanam, mityatva, they are mitya. Therefore, paricheda, trayashunyatva, rupa, brahmatvasya, sagunaha, asambhavat. Brahma, which is free from differences. Paricheda shunya. Desha, kala, vastutaha, aparichinnam brahma. Shunyatva. So, therefore, paricheda trayam. Trayam, threefold divisions. Space-wise division, time-wise division, and object-wise division. It is not there. And paricheda shunyatva, rupa, brahmatvam. So, Brahma, which is free from all these three. Whereas in other mukti, salokya, samipya, sarupya, sayujya, the division is there. Veda buddhi is there. Therefore, it cannot be real mukti, primary mukti. These are secondary mukti. Real mukti, primary mukti, what we say is there is no differences. Abeda buddhi itself is not there. There is no beda. Ishvaraha, mattaha, abedaha. Therefore, in Saguna means endowed, that which is with guna, Saguna. In Saguna, this paricheda shunyatva rupa brahmatvam is not possible. Brahma, which is free from all these threefold divisions, is not possible in Saguna Brahma. Therefore, Saguna Brahma is mithya. Saguna Brahma is mithya means Saguna Brahma, because it is endowed with guna, is mithya. Now, are we talking about mukti, these four muktis? No, we are not talking about this. This four mukti. These are secondary mukti. The mukti what we talk about is Brahmatmana samsitihi. Kalpita sakala vida upadi sambandha viduhu anitya vidura. Anitya shuddha buddha mukta pratyek abhinna paripurna swarupena avasthanam kaivalyam eva muktihi. Brahmatmana samsitihi, that is muktihi, that it means Kalpita, imagined, sakala vida upadi sambandha vidura means free from the connections with all the upadis. Upadis are kalpita on that Brahma. Upadis are kalpita on that Brahma. Upadis are nitya. Brahma, which is nitya, shuddha, buddha, mukta, pratyak, abhinna, paripurna, swarupam Brahma. Brahma is nitya. It is nitya, doesn't come and go. Natu agamabai. And it is shuddha, it is pure, ever uncontaminated, and it is in the form of intelligence, Buddha. And it is mukta, ever free. It is not different from oneself, pratyak abhinna. And it is complete, purnam, paripurna. In that Brahma avasthanam, Brahmatmana samsrihi, that is what mukti is, kaivalyam is. That alone is called kaivalyam, that alone is called muktihi. That is mukti. Not sayujya, samipya, etc. That is not the mukti. Therefore, kaivalyam eva muktihi. That mukti is shatakoti janmasu kritahi punyahi vina na labhyate iti anvayaha. That mukti is not gained without the punyam acquired in shata 100 koti crore. Shata koti janmasu, in 100 crores of janma, we must have done some punya. Without that punya, this mukti is not gained. Shatakoti Janmasu Krutaihi Punyahi Vina. Without the Punyam gained through Shatakoti 100 crores of birth, it is not gained. It means we must have done, or we should do homework in all these janmas by which we gain the pakvata, the readiness to gain freedom. Without which it is not possible. Na labhyate. Therefore, to come to Shastram itself is punya. And gaining Guru is another punya. Having gained the Guru is listening to him, being committed to Shastra Shravanam is punya. And Mananam is punya. And continue to do Shravanam is another punya. And gaining Nishta in the Jnanam, all this requires. It starts with, of course, from Manushya Janma. Manushya Janma itself is a rarity. That is why the shloka begin with Manushya Janma Prashamsa. So therefore, all these are not possible without punya acquired in 100 crores of Janma. And that finally culminates in Jivan Muktihi. Brahmavasthanam Brahmatmana Samsiddhi. Iti, the shloka is completed. The next shloka, another beautiful shloka which is often quoted. We will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Dhanyavadaha.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
ಶಾಂತಿ.
ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸರ್.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಶಾಂತಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಶರಣ್ ಜಿ.
Dhanyavadaha.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಅಜ್ಜಿ.
Dhanyavadaha.